Welcome to the Art of Conscious Living. I'm so very pleased today to have a returning guest, Peter VanDyke, the Masterpiece Educator. We have so much to talk about and share of his life journey and so very much more that is very crucial in polarizing us to help us, to support us, to be an example of how we could live our lives to the deepest and fullest of our potential. Thank you, Peter, for being here today. I'm not going to ask you how you are, because I know how you are. I can see it. I can see it in you. I see you clearly. And it's so beautiful. The liveness in you is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
I welcome you to the show. I know you're going through a lot at this moment in time, and we're going to speak about that. But welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So last time we spoke, which last December of 2013, and you had just finished a round of chemo at that time, and you were doing round 2 of a very intensive chemo now. The other chemo did not work, somewhat. This chemo is giving you a run for its money.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So, what's going on with you?
Well, I got in a clinical trial about 2 weeks ago, and the drug that they're giving is a very, very potent drug. They warned everybody about the side effects before, and the side effects are 100 times more than the other chemo I was on. And it's really shaken me on a physical level, but it's really brought my spiritual level and my emotional level. It's really focused me to get ready, either for a really vibrant next few years of life, or to get ready to greet what's ever awaiting me after life leaves this body.
And within that, there's an incredible amount of liveness, as I mentioned here. This aliveness in you. Have you felt this aliveness before?
Well, yeah, I have. But right now, the focus, it seems to me that I've been being presented since I was diagnosed, which is about 9 months ago or 10 months ago. My life has been jam-packed with learning experiences, emotional ups and emotional downs, and I think I've learned more in the last year than I did in the previous 63. So it's a really intense period, and it's very rewarding.
And how is that happening, as opposed to it seems to be, as you say, very intense and very full now, where before it may not have that same kind of capacity? What is going on with that on a personal level?
Well, see, I never thought about death. I have to say, up until I was diagnosed, I never really thought about the practical thing that I could die. And that, I've had death in my families. My mother, my father have died, and, I've had close friends die. But when it was presented to me, it's really given me an opportunity to really look at life. And I may be unique, although I think all of us, but the friends and family that are in my circle, they've stepped up to the point of, with grace and generosity and kindness, and, just to see the human soul of the people that are personally dealing with my transition, has been the biggest gift I've ever received. It's something like, if I sit down, I could say, oh, I would like $1 million, or I would like a big house, or a job that. But really, what I really have always wanted is this reality of how much friends love me, and how important they are, and how much I love them, and how that quantity and quality of love, I think it's the most healing energy on the planet. So
in essence of what I'm hearing you say, that your aliveness of dealing with everything that you're dealing with, it has actually affected all the people around you. There's more aliveness to them as they're checking into their love for you, and then they're grounding themselves with their own selves of being more centered. And I know that a lot of people have written in of the previous show that we did, and I read their emails, and they tell me how much they're affected by your talk and how much courage they have seemed to found within inside their own lives by listening to you. They all share that. They all have this enthusiasm now of saying, well, if Peter could go through this of living and possibly dying, and he doesn't know if he's going to, and hopefully he doesn't, but maybe, and now they're thinking, well, maybe that could be me. That could be me. And they're thinking this probably for the first time in their life. And they're very moved by your talk of your experience of what you're going through. And it's really, they're able to connect to you and feel a relief in that there's something going on that, yes, eventually they will have to think about that also.
Well, and the truth is, in America right now, a lot of people are going to get diagnosed where they're going to have a length of time that they will have the gift to work on, clearing up and cleaning up anything that they want to. You know, I mean, I was diagnosed almost a year ago, and the projection was maybe 6 months to a year, and maybe at the outset maybe 2 years, and depending on everything. And I feel like the last year of my life has been the biggest blessing that I could have ever received. When I think about people dying, like I had a young man who I worked with, and when I was doing men's work, and he was 16, and his father brought him into the group, and he really was, well, anyway, he died of an OD, and didn't have any chance to really have that awareness that you could die, and so you better take care of your business, and you better clean things up. He just died, and I have had all this time to be able to realize that, hey, how do I want to live, and what do I want to leave if I do die? How do I want to be in relationship with people? And you know, so it's been quite a trip. And I want to say that it's not all high moments. I've also been down in the trenches. This new chemo I'm on. I mean, I've been sick every morning. I think I got the last dose on Friday, and the vomiting, even with anti-nauseous and everything that I've been doing, the vomiting and the cramping in the stomach, and that's part of it. You know, they all know it. All the doctors, all the people in the clinical study, and while that's been upsetting, it's also brought me back to a real kind of solid base of my friends.
A lot of the drugs have major side effects besides the physical. They also have psychological and emotional effects. So even your plateau of being in the trenches, which perhaps previous years before, when you were not on the treatment of chemo, the trenches you would know then were possibly very familiar and doable. But maybe these trenches now are really, really deep, and despair, and really. So let's explore that. Let's talk about how you've been going back and forth between the not feeling emotionally good and not feeling and then feeling okay and feeling wonderful, going back and forth. And then you come back in the middle there all the time. You land back in the middle of this balance. And this is this aliveness. This is this beauty of living. And this is what people are seeing within you, of your talk and your energy and your life, and your example for them at this time.
Well, I got to say, I've fallen in love with life. And I always appreciated being alive, but I don't think I honored it and revered it like I do now. Because to me, now that I get another 24 hours and that I don't know how I'm going to feel or what's going to pop up in my psychic or what's going to raise me up. I mean, I have actually had 2 or 3 experiences, I may start to cry, when I've really felt abandoned and alone and questioning everything about anything. And I've had Mother Mary, actual visitation of what I would, my in my training, it's Mother Mary. And I've had that a couple times. And I'm not one that believes in strange psychic or spiritual events happening. But I had Mother Mary tap me on the shoulder one night, and there was no other way I could describe it than that. And
what was going on at that moment?
oh, I was feeling desperate, and I was feeling alone, and I was questioning, all of the. They said this cancer treatment would be a roller coaster, and at this point, I was really down, going through the water, the real drama, the tragedy of my life, and really questioning all of that. And it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and nobody was around,
But Mother Mary was around.
But Mother Mary, and I had gotten really physically sick, where I was, vomiting and shivering and sweating and just feeling like, what was going on with my body. And I felt her presence in bed next to me, touching me. And I just melted, it was just like...
you just let go.
And she, for me, there was no questioning it. I mean...
Was there a sense of great relief, or was there a sense of surrender? Describe it, Peter.
It was relief and surrender, and it was protection, and it was almost like she was willing to have me feel the comfort of the womb. It was almost like her entire presence encompassed me and surrounded me, and lifted my moments of doubt and my moments of fear.
Were you asking for her, or asking for any higher power at all?
Well, I think I was, but I think I was doing it subconsciously, because I think there's a part of me that is really doesn't know if I deserve, just like, because I've read other encounters with high spiritual masters, and I've always thought that, well, I'm just a little part of humanity, and I haven't done, any glorious work, or, and I'm not very religious. I'm spiritual, but I'm not very much into religion, and so I had all this kind of doubt, and I don't anymore. I really don't. I mean, I really feel now like there are angels and masters, and and I know some in my own life. I mean, people in my own life have been acting like angels and masters, and the generosity and the love that has been flowing my way. If that's a core value of humanity, which I have to think it is now, then human beings, we are a remarkable species. I mean, we just have to kind of be humbled and amazed at the quality of human, and the quality of our hearts, and our quality of our capacity to love.
So this explains the aliveness, where you are actually having encounters with the invisible, where the invisible was there before all your years. You were just not having a direct contact with it. There was seemingly no need for it, but there was a need. But in your mind at that time, you were going through the process and and you were basically relying on yourself. And now it's forcing you to go deeper and deeper.
Well,
which,
it is, and
which is so beautiful.
my book right now is my constant companion is A Course in Miracles,
Yes.
and I don't know if people are tuned into it or not, but I have some really close friends who, and I've been aware of A Course in Miracles for 20 years, but right now it's my anchor, and it's the teachings, and I still don't even really understand it. But I have faith in just reading the words and opening up, being willing to be exposed to it and the concepts. And it's been absolutely life-saving or emotionally saving. And I want to be clear, it's not that I still don't lose it. I still have moments where I just want more life, and I don't want to have a big tumor under my arm and not being able to walk more than 100 yards sometimes, and not having the vitality, the physical vitality that I've had all my life. I never even thought about my body up until it got really sick, because my body saved me. It did what it really served me. It was really available for me. I haven't had a lot of problems with it, a bad knee that. And I can still walk. I was walking 10 miles a day before I got sick. So and the other realms of being human, the emotional realm, I've seen the full aspect of it. The terror of grief and the joy of celebration. It's just been an amazing journey. And yes, I wish I would have never gotten sick. And what I've learned and how many people have opened up to me with love, it's really been worth it,
Well, there's a quote from the Course in Miracles, one of my favorite, and it is to remove the barriers that block the love that is constantly, presently there all the time. Mm-hmm. This is so beautiful. Mm-hmm. And this is a process of what seemingly you are going through. Yeah. Slowly, all of the veils are pulled back, and you're just left with just love, because love is always there. Mm-hmm. And even in our deepest despair, and in our moments of suffering, and our moments of being really afraid, that love is still there. So we can return to that. And it's about taking away those barriers that are blocking that love that is there, constantly there.
Mm-hmm. Well, in seeing it in other people,
yes.
I mean, right now for me, the people that are in my circle right now, they just greet me with so much love. And I know that, they all know I'm sick, and they all know that I'm having side effects and I'm having bad moments, and they show up, whether they show up with chicken noodle soup or apple juice or something, the first thing they show up with is love, and just showing up with love is so healing. It's absolutely the most healing energy or medicine, if you want to call it that, that I've ever felt. And I give my life to it. I mean, right now, I really do trust love. I really trust that our design of being human really was or is to manifest love, to have love be available to everybody.
For those who have been blocking the flow of love on a very conscious level, they have blocked it by anger, they have blocked it by repetitive patterns. Let's speak to that. Mm-hmm. How could they have this experience? How could they start to tap into this love that is actually there for everybody?
Well, for me, it's pretty easy, because it's kind of like what you said. Whatever emotional experience you're going through, whether it's anger or sadness or some kind of emotional pain, like you've lost something, when you stop and look and really get present, love is waiting for you. So every time I've been angry, underneath the anger, I come back to love. And so that process, and once you know that, it doesn't mean that you never get angry, you know. It does mean that you have an awareness that underneath the anger is this big pool of love. And, you know, and the other thing that I've been working on, and I've had to work on for myself, is what I call instant forgiveness. Because I don't have time to hold a grudge or to be upset with myself or, you know, be upset with anybody else. And forgiveness, you know, sometimes it can take a while to get to. Right now, I'm really looking at, if I do something, if I cross a boundary or somebody else crosses a boundary with me and upsets me somehow, I want to instantly forgive them. I don't want to wait till tomorrow, and I don't want to wait until I'm feeling good and that, oh, maybe I'll forget about it. It's like, all right, this came up, forgive it, you know. And I think, and of course in miracles it says our function in the world is to be of forgiveness. And so to me, it's been really, really obvious that, and the toughest thing I'm working on is forgiving myself. Because I'm really well aware of how many moments in my 64 years I have done things or said things that haven't been of the highest spiritual place.
Or perhaps you were thinking things.
Or thinking things.
A lot of thinking things. We keep a lot of things in that perhaps should not have been there, or could have been more of lightness and light and easy and flowing more with purity. Mm-hmm. But perhaps we anchor ourselves with a lot of pollution. Mm-hmm. And at times we're not even aware of it. Oh. Well, so we all have those experiences. And so it's beautiful to reflect back at them. And it's like where we were is very important to who we are today and who we will be. Mm-hmm. It's not about, as you mentioned, it's not about getting it right at any one given point. It's about being in that experience of it. Mm.
Well, and opening up to the you know, spontaneity, like the mm-hmm. spontaneous things. I mean, and I've had moments, I've written some on my Facebook page, and you've read some of them, and yes. Some other people have too. But I've had some moments that were absolutely beyond anything I have ever experienced, or something that I would have thought, you know, that the higher power would give that to a more enlightened spiritual man than me. And I've had moments of such joy, where I had a moment a couple of weeks ago where I opened my door and I went out in my yard, and it felt like I had snuck up on all of life waking up, and that I was I was waking up, and that the whole love that I had for life. And I sat down and I just let all the leaves and all the grass and all the flowers and the trees and the clouds going by, and the sun was just coming up. And I really felt like I was involved in the web of life, and that I had kind of sneaked up on it. And I swear I saw little fairies and you know, little leprechauns and all kinds of, it was like another world I had kind of stepped into. And everything was alive, the trees, and they were all giving me love. It was like I was a part of this web of life that you know, because my backyard's there all the time, and I've walked by it all the time, and I've never sat down and just go, wow, look at the beauty here, look at the life here, and feel the love here. And now every time I go into my house, and I've had that experience, so it's like, whoa, there's a little nest of love right outside my house. And I think all earth is like that, you know. I think that when we open to it, we see that love, and we see that life itself is love, you know?
How beautiful.
Uh,
What I'm hearing you say is that before perhaps there was a separateness, and now there was no separateness, where you were merging with deeply with inside yourself, but with everything.
mm-hmm.
And it's truly the essence of life, the essence of being is that.
Well, and not having any hierarchy.
Yeah.
You know, when I was sitting there, the tree seemed to me to be as valuable for the gift of life as I was, and the flower and this single blade of grass was, you know, remarkable. And then I saw little bugs crawling and doing this, and it was like, and I just felt like I had this window into the most alive, energetic place on earth. And it's like, well, it was only my backyard, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe all of Earth is like that. Maybe if I open and keep my presence in a certain kind of way, maybe every tree you see is full of life. Every blade of grass is making a statement about what life is like, you know, and how happy they are to be here.
Yeah, it's such as a perpetual tapestry that is never ending, and we're part of that.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And I've had my moments. I want to say too. I've had my moments of separation and horror, and moments of terror, and that, you know, I do want to watch my grandson have a baby, you know, and I do want to have, you know, I'm greedy enough to want more, which makes me say, I better really stay right here in this moment, because this is the only moment I have. And whether I have more or not, if I really stay here, any moment that I'm really present with and really still to, it's as gracious and glorious as any moment I've ever had.
And I would think and subscribe to the horror, the suffering, the aloneness, the wretched hell that you'd be feeling at that moment. Embrace it. And I'm sure that's what you're doing. Mm-hmm. As you embrace it, it's so beautiful. It's when you go through the hell, it can be an incredible rapture experience. It's the resistance of it. Mm-hmm. It's as soon as we start as human beings, we've been so conditioned and programmed that we're saying, oh, we're not supposed to be feeling this. Oh, this is not good. This doesn't feel good. I have to exit out of here. And because I'm exiting out of here, I don't want to be crying. I don't want to feel this pain. That is where the problem starts. It really starts to get really complicated at that moment. And it makes things way worse. Very, very bad at that time of stopping it. Mm-hmm. So what I do is when I feel those moments of loneness or sadness, and I'm in a fetal position alone in a dark room on my bed, I am totally welcoming it, embracing it, mm-hmm. and then I take it further. I take it to gratitude. I say, thank you. Thank you for this mm-hmm. aliveness, and thank you for showing me something that I need to learn there and to acknowledge. Yeah. And when I say this to people, they say, well, what are you, a masochist? I mean, how could you do that? How could I not do that? Yeah. How could I not do that? It's part of life. It's the white and the black and the good and the bad and the ugly and the beauty. I mean, it's all necessary, and we have to embrace it, not edit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and my friends, some of them really like me to be the happy spiritual cancer patient that is, yes. you know, just being kind and loving and accepting everything that happens.
And then it's comfortable for them, mm-hmm. and you don't want to make them uncomfortable, mm-hmm. so that's a happy role there.
Right.
A happy place.
And there's other friends of mine who will get into the quagmire with me, and you know, it feels like I'm in quicksand, and they'll get right in with me, and they won't take it personal, and they won't identify that as who I am, my total being. And so I'm really getting a chance to be all of myself to understand the power of a crying little boy. I mean, part of the thing and I've been having visits with myself as a 4-year-old, and I had a pretty tough childhood, and I can now relive that childhood and have my adult self listen to and pay attention to the little 4-year-old who's crying and being molested and doesn't know if what life is going to treat him and stuff. And I can really say now, hey, look at, this is the adult you, and you did live through all of that, and come and be with me and let me hold you, and you can be a part of me, because I think it's the unheard parts of ourselves and the little parts of ourselves when we were powerless and helpless and having some damage done to us, that we kind of abandoned those parts. And now they're all coming up for me. And I'm being able to see that, hey, all of that awful stuff that happened to me, I'm still a loving, caring, adult human being. And all the damage and all the way that, and my not even handling it as well as I could have, all of that comes. And there's a real non-judgment place inside of me now where, I can look at myself and go, wow, all of those experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, they've all contributed to who I am.
So there's a unification. It's coming to full circle.
Yeah.
The young boy is merged with the older man, and the older man's merged with the young boy, and the younger man within you, the 20-year-old. Mm-hmm. You're all one.
Yes.
There's no separateness there.
Yeah.
It's not a compartmental process going on. Instead of being compartmental, of being each separate, it's all one merged together here. Mm-hmm. Very beautiful. Mm-hmm. You mentioned molestation. Let's speak about that.
Well,
if you'd like to.
Well, I had, and it's not that unusual. They say 1 out of 6 boys, 1 out of 3 girls, and 1 out of 6 boys are somehow either suffer from some kind of physical violence or sexual violence, and when I was a little boy, I had family members who molested me and violated my sexual being. And I've dealt with it. I mean, for 25 years of my life, I ran men's groups around men's violence and how to create peace and how to let go of being violent. And I've done work on healing myself about that. And what I've really come to is just how the sad things and the violations, the Lord's Prayer where it says, "Forgive me my trespasses, as I forgive those who trespass against me." And when I think about people trespassing against me, if I forgive them, then I can forgive myself, my own trespasses. And so there's a whole kind of healing process that starts, first of all, not being in denial about it. I mean, my ex-wife was the one who said to me, when your brother and sister played with you, it was a lot more than just playing doctor. And I read a book by John Bradshaw where he actually had a definition of what sexual abuse and and I was reading the book, and I closed the book and threw the book away and told my wife at the time, I said, "Why did you bring that up? I don't want to." And then I realized that they were talking about me. I was the youngest. I didn't want it to be happening. It wasn't just playing doctor. There was real violation, being held down and being penetrated, and I think it has stayed with me for a long time. I've done some Peter Levine's work on healing traumatic, post-traumatic stress, and I found the biggest process for me is doing the forgiveness process. So from A Course in Miracles, I'm doing a process called Forgive and Be Free, and it's really, and a friend of mine has written a book about it, and I've gone through the whole process of it, and about that, and it really has healed me, and it's opened up all kinds of ways for me, sexuality, and how my own sexuality and how I've been, and how I want to be around sex. How lovemaking is really the critical ingredient, and my introduction to sex was not love. It was totally violations and separations. And now, I really think that lovemaking really is about what we do in life. Like I'm making love right now. I'm making love with my full consciousness, anytime, anywhere, and being with a woman and being close and being intimate. It's got to be about making love. That our contact produces more love. The expansion of love on the planet and stuff. So
yes, it's about nurturing and healing and presence and no separation, as we've been speaking about.
Mm-hmm. And it's amazing to me how many people, what we keep secrets, and there's that old expression, you're only as sick as the secrets you keep. And so, it's amazing to me that how I don't want to have any secrets anymore. I don't need to have secrets. And
which includes the shadow side of you.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever shadow that we just spoke about from your childhood, you embrace it. You give closure to it. You give nurturing to it. You give acceptance to it. Mm-hmm. And it's healed. Mm-hmm. When we don't look at it and we don't want to go there, it's controlling us. That's why they call it the shadow. It's controlling us and we're not knowing it.
Well,
so our life is, to say the least, very, very shallow.
Yeah, and it's led about where you don't even feel like you have any control over your own life, like what you do or how you live. Mm-hmm. And the most amazing thing for me is the women. And again, I spent 24 years doing groups for men to create safety and to stop violence that they're doing to their intimate partners.
Yes, the Men of Tears program.
The Men of Tears program. I worked in San Quentin for a peace education process, and I worked on the street for a program, they call it a BIP program, a batterers intervention program.
So here we're talking about the extreme where we have criminals and people who are inmates, and they have never, ever probably cried for ever in their life, because that is taboo. You do not do that. Mm-hmm. And here you are bringing that to give them permission and give them support and safety and all that. That actually, that's where all your answers are.
Well, in the whole
the one thing that you're avoiding is the one thing that you should be running to, but they're not knowing that.
Well, and see, the whole thing that my main work has been, how men have been conditioned, how men have been cultured not to be human beings, but to be male. We called it male role belief system. And the patriarchy, as a man, you're not supposed to cry, you're supposed to control your woman. It's up, you wear the pants in the family and all of that. And that whole process of like widening ourselves as human beings. And the women, I just wanted to say this, the women, since I've had this disease, and I don't even think of it as mine. I think it is as, I call it the cancer and the tumor, because, it's a common experience, so I don't have to personalize it. And the women that have been around me have been so loving. My ex-wife, who I was with for 30 years, shows up and we've been close. We love each other, we care about each other, but we haven't seen each other since I've been really sick. And now, for 2 or 3 days a week, she comes over And she's like the only person that can remember when I was 19. I mean, we met and got married I met her when I was 19, and we were married when I was 21. And now, she's just, and if I go through any kind of pain, it goes right into her, and she feels it and holds it and is impacted by it and gives back love. So it's kind of like, and I've noticed that with other women that are close to me, that they can handle my really dark moments, and they can still love me. And the man that John Pateris is a man that I'm working with intensely. And
process coaching,
and he worked in San Quentin with me, and he's got that whole realm of being able to work with the darkest of the human condition. And
are you working with that?
Yeah, I'm working with that. And John, I mean, he's really allowing me to bring out, we call them the demons, the unfinished business, the parts of me that I ignored, or that got thrown away, or that got beaten down.
Or you just forgot about it.
Or I just forgot about it, that's right.
Yes.
But and he has the ability, he's developed the whole process where I can bring those parts out, and he can be with them and heal them and love them and let them come back, because and he knows more about it than I do, so I'm going to let him talk about that. But me being the one that is really doing it, I mean, what I'm calling it right now is I'm doing this process called healing a death. And it's not about preventing death, but it's about, if you get an idea, that if you get a diagnosis that you're going to die soon, it's time to clear up all of your life, So I want to live my death fully, and I want to take this, if I have another few months, or if I have a year, or if God's willing and this drug works and I have 5 years, I never want to forget that life in every moment holds the opportunity for love. And it doesn't matter that I have a tumor under my arm and that I'm losing weight and my energy's going. Love is all I've ever wanted, and love is still available to me.
In conversations with the emails that people have been sending me about our talk, they are now beginning to question and wonder, is it okay for them that if they don't do that, if they don't get it in this lifetime? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of that going on. Yeah. Maybe I'm not strong enough, that I can't do this. Maybe this, maybe that. And I say, well, in my dialogue with them would be, well, let's look at that. Are these just excuses, or where can you have the courage? There's no right or wrong in all of this. There's no good or bad in all of it. It's just the experience of that. So let's talk about that. What do you think about that as others are saying, I can't do this? They're holding on to the same thing that they've been doing for decades, and they don't really seemingly have any reason to do it because they think in their mind that they're going to be living forever. So what's going on there?
Well, see, I think, and one of the big things that I've noticed that are happening are these cafes of death and stuff. I mean, if you look in Marin and Sonoma now, and all across the country, people are coming together and having nights where they just talk about death, whether their own death or somebody close to them that have died. And I think our relationship to death has, in this culture, we've been so afraid of it that most of us are in denial about it. And I was, I mean, I still am. Just the other day, somebody asked me about, well, what do you think? And I said, I think I'm gonna beat this, or I'm going to incorporate it in my life. I know the diagnosis and the prognosis doesn't look healthy, and I still think I'm healing. I still feel my life force. I still am excited by life itself. I'm excited by women, and I'm excited when I see people doing good work, and a lot of my friends have been coming to visit, and one of the men I worked with in San Quentin, Jacques Verdun, he did, when Eve Ensler had her Billion People Rising, he had a group in San Quentin where he brought 4 women that had been victims of rape or a son murdered, and he had all the men in his class up dancing, celebrating women after hearing their story. And all of their stories was about being violated by a man. And here they were in San Quentin with inmates that had violated, and done that. And the women led a whole process of healing and dancing and celebrating the human condition. And that was on Valentine's Day. And if you think about on Valentine's Day that there are 40 inmates in San Quentin sharing the love of 4 brave women and getting the point that men have got to stop rape. Men have got to stop the violence to women. It's in men's hands where women suffer 98% of all of their violence, and all of their rapes are coming from men's hands.
Yes.
And to open that up, to get that opened up, because I've said for a long time, I've had a friend who used to say that, when women are safe, we'll have a better world. When children are safe, when old people are safe. And what we're talking about is safe from men, I just have a friend who works in San Francisco jail with domestic violence, with men that have committed domestic violence. And he's talking to me last week about how they're getting it so quickly now. How it used to be there was all this resistance. And now the men are really getting it. They really don't want to do that. And it's really, I think there's really a big cultural change. And the feminine in me, most of us know that we have masculine and feminine. And the feminine in me has really been leading me the last 6 months, I've always tried to be a man's man. And now the feminine in me is really being tender and loving and soft and safe. And I think that's where we're going, I think the healing, to me, the biggest energy on the planet will be when men and women can heal, whether it be in America or Afghanistan or Australia or some Africa, Uganda or someplace. When men get it, that women really cannot be violated, that it's our responsibility to stop rape. There's an organization called Men Can Stop Rape. And, and then you find out that, I just found out last week that the college campuses, more women are raped on college campuses than anywhere else. And then in the military, the number of rapes in the military. And men are stepping up to that, and men are saying, no, we can't do that, So that gives me, if I had the gift of life, I still would work. That would be my dearest work, to make a safe place for women,
Absolutely.
My mom didn't have one. My sister didn't have one, and that I hope we focus on that, and I hope that women really start to feel safer.
How would you respond to quality over quantity, as opposed to comparing it to life, and living life? How does that feel at this point in time? What is that for you? And what is that about? Because an example for others who are wondering how they can be in this more neutral aliveness, I think that's very important.
Oh.
A lot of people focus a lot on the the quantity. They want 100 years, but they don't know what to do with the 100 years.
Well, I'm into the holy instant.
Yes,
I'm into
the holy instant.
the holy instant.
How beautiful.
And that one moment. I mean, I have moments now with people or sometimes by myself where I'm just like so amazed that I can catch one moment fully, And in this process that I work a lot on relational presence, about being present, and then if I'm present, I need to be in relationship with something. Well, my gift right now is that I'm constantly in relationship with cancer. I can't deny that I have a tumor about the size of a grapefruit under my arm. And in the moment when I recognize that and love it and realize that that grapefruit isn't doing anything to stop me from being fully here and fully in love. And if I lose it with the pain, I have pain levels now that sometimes break through. And I have liquid morphine to take. But the pain itself is a way to lead back to my soul. And that my spirit and my soul seem to be right on the surface right now. Just greedy for this moment.
So instead of resisting the pain, am I hearing you say that you go with the pain, you surrender to it?
Yeah.
At times you need the morphine, but other times, even with the morphine, you're still surrendering to it, allowing it to be.
The whole process with pain management is to stay ahead of the pain.
Yeah.
So, and my big resistance is, and the morphine and the methadone and the nerve pain that they give me, it does impact me. And I like to have a clear mind.
Yes.
And so the pain, what I've learned is that the medication allows the pain to get small and allows myself to get bigger. So, but when I'm in pain, and I've spent many moments in pain, those moments haven't identified me. It's been my relationship with the pain. And I never thought that physical pain was as bad as emotional pain or psychological pain or, the spiritual pain of feeling separate, the moments. And I've had moments in my life where I doubted God. And that kind of pain really, I really thought was more devastating to me than physical pain. And now I understand that all pain, everything is coming up to be healed, Everything is coming up to be held, embraced, and shared, and then loved back to wellness. So I'm not afraid of the physical pain, and I'm not afraid of the psychic pain any longer. I don't want to wallow in it. I'm not a masochist, and I am in pain management now. I have a friend who's a nurse who came over and really taught me a lot about pain management. And so there really is a way that you can manage the pain without losing your mind and without losing your consciousness. And so you can be even more present. And my work with John, in the last couple weeks, I've decided that I really want to do in-depth work. And John Pateris, who is a process coach, he actually designed the whole program, Process Coaching. He's a friend of mine, and so we've been working 3 hours, 4 hours. We've been, we do this thing called instant intervention. So if I ever have a moment, I can call him up or I can text him, and so I have this source outside of me that really brings me back to love and brings me back to the capacity of being in relationship, because that's the biggest joy. If I've learned one thing, I've learned that how much I love people, What was that song by Barbra Streisand? People
People who need people
are
the luckiest people.
Yeah. And I've really decided, because I was kind of the brave, individualistic man that could handle things on his own, and I was the lone knight, bring it on, I'll slay the dragons. And now people,
yes,
people who need people are the luckiest people. And the fact that people, that when I need them, it turns out they need me too. People love to have somebody call them and need some service. Some of my friends, I feel like I should get a T-shirt with all the friends that have helped me out. Like, I have a friend of mine, Vajra, who takes me to my doctor's appointments, who is with me when I'm crying and sobbing, and I have a family. I don't have a lot of family around me, but I have a family of friends that are holding me in their hearts and blessing me in ways that are simply unbelievable. So unbelievable. Yeah, it's very moving. It's very moving. And the generosity. I haven't actually been able to work for a year, And when one person doesn't work, it doesn't mean that the food prices go down and that, everything. And so I've been needing support. And my friends and my family, they've just been, they've just been there for me. So.
Peter, it's an absolute amazing gift to be able to sit here and speak with you. And our time is complete. And I look forward to our many talks in the future. And I absolutely love you. And I need to say that to you, and thank you.
Can I say too, for you, having you, being able to, because my love for you grows every time I see you, and whenever I get an opportunity to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you. And from the Art of Conscious Living, do take care of yourself and take care of others.